to DEF CON 3. I'm KT McFarland. Slumping oil prices have put Russia's economy on course for a sharp recession and double-digit inflation as officials there worry over their country's future. Well, how have Putin's policies impacted his country? Joining us to discuss is American Enterprise Institute's Aron, who heads up their Russian Studies program. Thank you so much for joining us, Leon. Tell me, how bad is this going to get in Russia?
It's a pleasure, KT. Well, you know, the funny thing is, I'm surprised that everybody's surprised. If you followed the Russian debates, including what Putin's finance minister, personal friend, in fact, the man who brought him from St. Petersburg in the early 90s to Moscow, Alexei Kudrin, who still apparently advises him, as Russia was emerging from the 2009 crisis, financial crisis, world financial crisis, they said that, listen, you know, we need to move away from this dependence on oil and gas. We need to modernize and change what's euphemistically was called the investment climate. And Putin made a choice. He said, no, that's fine. I mean, he paid lip service to it, but basically nothing was changed. And he thought that having been lucky in the first 8 years, he'll be lucky again. And again, now all those Russian economists said, well, we told you so. So among the factors that you listed, Kudrin, for example, mentions oil prices about 30%. The sanctions, I think quite correctly, no more than 15 to 20% contributing to this. Mm-hmm. And good half or over half is deep structural deficiencies of Russia, where the capital is fleeing at record pace because of it's being squeezed out and it's being completely crushed by the corruption and the state economy.
Well, fast forward to later on this year, and so we have high inflation, high unemployment, a serious recession, contraction of the economy. Does this cause the ruble to collapse to the point where Russia defaults on its debts?
Well, the unemployment is actually not high, and that's another sign of trouble. Russia, unlike the 1990s, where Russia emerged under a relatively liberal domestic environment and then could do import substitution and whatnot, even after the ruble collapsed, these conditions don't happen today. I mean, nobody invests, nobody starts new businesses because they're immediately being shaken down and crushed. So I think the ruble is probably going to stabilize somewhat at the record lows, but unless the oil goes down even farther. But again, let me tell you, this is more serious than what happened in the 1990s, and I think it's more likely what happened to the Soviet Union in the 1980s.
Well, then if that's true, then what we could be looking at is a period of social instability. I mean, is Putin's position as supreme leader of Russia, is that going to be called into question in the next year?
Well, here's the thing, Katie. Cuba exists, North Korea exists. Iraq under Saddam Hussein existed under horrific economic conditions, domestic economic conditions. But that would require Putin to make a choice. And that choice would include not only doubling down on the monopolistic propaganda, not only incurring probably another foreign adventure to keep the country in fear and swept by the patriotic hysteria and paranoia, but also sharp increase in domestic political terror. If he does all those things, I think he could weather it.
So what you're then saying is that we should watch out. The next, say, as Putin gets more and more, the economy gets further and further stretched, instead of backing down from the West, he could double down and cause even more crises like the one that we saw in the last year in Ukraine.
Absolutely. I think the upshot of this crisis, from everything we know about Putin as a man and as a leader, mm-hmm. is a very strong possibility of another manufactured external crisis. You know, our diplomats are shoving off-ramp to Putin. Off-ramp, the time for the off-ramp is gone. When a leader of the country says, we are in Ukraine because we are defending the independence of our country, our existence, as an independent state and this glory and soul of Russia from foreign domination, there's very little you could do. He needs a safety net or a rope to slide down, not an off ramp. If he's so inclined. So I think we're entering a very dangerous period, both domestically and in terms of Russian external relations.
Sounds pretty dangerous to me. 2015 will be the year that we definitely want to watch Russia, and particularly Mr. Putin himself. Thanks, Aron. For more developing stories on this and other issues, please stay tuned to FoxNews.com. I'm KT McFarland. Thanks for watching DEFCON 3.